Hey, what's up you guys? It's Scott with Everyday Home Repairs, and I want to do a little show and tell today of the top 5 things I look at when purchasing an older home. Now this is going to be using a 102-year-old single family, 1,100 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath property that I'm looking to purchase. Now there can be a lot of great parts to owning an old home, everything from the unique charm to the woodwork, mature trees, great neighborhoods, and solid built construction. But on the other hand, there are some challenges. So let's go through those 5. Let's jump up in the attic, get down in the crawl space, and show you a few tangible examples to look out for when you're looking to purchase an older home. So first thing we want to look out for is electrical. Now here is the panel for the home. This is the main electrical panel, and it's obviously been at least updated over the years. Now I'm not saying it's up to code, but it is an updated panel because it has circuit breakers. Now if you look at your top main breaker, you'll see that it either has 100 or 200. See there it says 100. So it's a 100 amp service. And you do have some extra spaces here if you wanted to add additional circuits later on, which is a good thing. If this whole thing was filled up, then you would have some challenges, maybe expanding out, adding new outlets, or just updating for new modern devices in your home. So even though this has been updated, let me show you a common issue that you'll see in old homes. So many of these items will be covered by your inspector, but this is an updated tamper-resistant duplex outlet, and it has the 3 prongs. So it looks like it's been updated, should be good to go. The problem is when you test it with an outlet tester, you have one single light, which means you have an open ground. What that means is this was an old 2-prong outlet at one time, and somebody just replaced with a 3-prong, but does not have a ground coming to this box, so it's actually incorrectly wired. You would either need to run a ground to this outlet, which can cost significant money, or depending on your area, you might be able to put a GFCI outlet in its place, and then that will meet your code. Now, if you need a video showing swapping out a 2-prong outlet to a GFCI, I do have one, and the link is right here. So now let's jump up into the attic, and I'll show you one other thing to look out for when it comes to electrical. So the last thing, depending on the age of your home, you might have knob and tube wiring. So depending on your region, homes built in the 1950s still might have knob and tube. So knob and tube has one neutral. So this is the neutral line, and then one hot line. So this is the hot line. So by most people, knob and tube is not preferred, and you can see some updated Romex, which is coming through. So this home has a mix, and it's something that you might want to consider getting swapped out and updated, or at least something you're considering when you're looking at older homes. So that's it for electrical. At least now you have an idea of some of those things you want to look out for. Another tip, if you're going to be doing the crawling around in the attic or crawl space, having a respirator is a very smart move. So the second item that I want to address and things you need to look out for is plumbing. Now on the exterior of the house, you'll want to understand when was the water, the main water line put in. So coming from the city curb shutoff valve to your house, when was that installed? Is it new or is it very old? And then also your main drain going out to the city, going to the sewer. If that is old clay pipe or old pipe that's having issues, that can cause you a lot of problems and multiple thousands of dollars to fix. Often what happens is a small crack forms, and then tree roots start to get that moisture, and then it will expand the tree roots within the pipe because it is a constant source of water, and then all of a sudden you get a clog. You call somebody out, they clean out or chop out the tree roots, well guess what? They come right back. So you really have to replace that whole line if you have an older drain line that has cracks or issues. So those are 2 things that you want to understand. Then inside the house, you'll understand when was the last time the plumbing was updated. Your preference in many areas is usually copper or PEX. Now copper and PEX could be installed incorrectly, but it's something you just want to look for in your inspection report to start to see any red flags that maybe there was a rehab not long ago where they kind of scabbed in some of the different plumbing fixtures and let me show you some examples of that.
So one thing you might want to look in is some of your vanity bases or sink bases. And if you see a combination of PEX here at the bottom coming into press fittings on off, so this one's going to the dishwasher, this on off valve would go to an ice maker. Then you have a combination of copper pipe and fittings, one going out to an outdoor spigot, and then the other finishing off up top with your on-off valve that goes to the sink faucet. Sometimes these are not necessarily against code, but it is just something you'd want a professional to take a look at to see if that's going to cause you any additional maintenance costs long term. And it's definitely not pretty to look at. And then also with your drain lines, you want to make sure that your venting is correct. When you have something like an S pipe here opposed to a P trap, you might not have the appropriate venting for the drain lines.
So number 2, with plumbing, it's something that can be very overwhelming. I know electrical, plumbing, and pretty much all these can be a little overwhelming if you're a first-time home buyer or just really new to home maintenance. So that's where you do need to lean on your professionals in your area and what code is in your area, because that is going to vary also depending on where you live. So number 3 is structure. So let's get down in the crawl space and show you a few items to look out for when you're purchasing an older home.
Now there's many different types of material that you might have for your actual foundation walls. This is an older block, but you do want to look at the mortar between these joints, because that might be something that you need to get a mason to come in and tuck point. And getting people down in crawl spaces doing work like this, it's not easy work and it can be very expensive. One other thing, you really don't want to see water or any sort of moisture coming through, because that would be a sign of something you really need to address quickly. Now here is an example of one of the main structural beams coming through holding the middle of the floor. Now I have everything from an old bottle jack to center blocks to that older block that my foundation's made up of to railroad ties. You don't really love to see the combination of that, because it makes you really feel like it's been kind of pieced in over the years. So that might be something where you need to address taking all that out and getting a few more modern adjustable supports in here to hold up that main beam, because that is your main structural beam going down your floor. So it is critical to have that in good shape. Some people get pretty creative with their supports. These would be 2 pretty good examples. Having a 2x board vertical like that on top of cinders is, again, not an ideal solution and can easily come loose and provide no support. So again, something you want to take a look at and make sure you have a plan of attack. Also, you want to see if any of your floor joists like this have actual damage, where you're going to have to come in, provide support, and then sister in new pieces of lumber on that to get the structure back to a sound condition. Close-up of that one has basically complete failure of that floor joist.
Now, who doesn't love a little crawl space time and cobwebs all over your head? So again, the crawl spaces are going to be unique to the home, but it is something you just want to make sure that you have good supports, foundation solid, don't have a bunch of moisture down there. You saw there was a relatively new vapor barrier down, which was good, but this home does need some work. Now, when you have instances where possibly those supports aren't even touching your joist, or like we saw the joist which is completely cracked, those are things you need to take care of to make sure your floor is carrying the load as expected, and you don't have parts that are carrying no load and then just applying more force and more pressure onto the adjacent joists, which then can kind of do a domino effect and cause more issues. So that's it for number 3, looking at your structures. So number 4 goes into your HVAC, or how you're going to heat and cool the home. This home here actually just has radiant heat and has no air conditioner. Again, depending on your region, older homes, it might be very common to not have any air conditioning, or you might have a home that is older and it's been updated with central air. All the ducts are put in, and that's where you'll get forced heat, and then also your air conditioning going through those same air ducts, which is great, but you still want to know the age of the central air unit itself and serviceable life on that unit. Once you start getting into the kind of 15, 17, 18, and especially 20 years, you're starting to get to the end of the life on a lot of these units, and that might be a big maintenance bill that you're gonna have in the near term. Also, I'll show you the boiler in this home. It looks bad, but actually it's been fully serviced and should be ready to go for many, many more years. So this is the boiler for this home. A boiler really just heats up hot water and sends that through lines that then go to radiators in each of the rooms, and then that's how you heat your home. So it can be a very efficient way to heat a home, even though this unit is only a 80% efficiency, and they do make more modern, more efficient boilers. But this boiler has been serviced recently, and minus, a missing service cover here where you're seeing all the wires and it looks really ugly, this unit should be good to go for years and years down the road. So within HVAC, again, if you have a central air system with air ducts, you might want to know the last time those air ducts have been cleaned, because if they haven't been cleaned for 10 or 15 years, they might need a good cleaning, which also can be a little costly. Now the last item number 5 for these older homes, 2 big things you need to look out for is asbestos and lead paint. So if you're looking to purchase a home, there's usually a disclosure form for the current homeowner to fill out if they know of any lead-based paint or asbestos in the home. Now you might see no on those, and that doesn't mean that the home is free of lead-based paint and free of asbestos. That just means the current owner has no knowledge of it. So I know that can be a little confusing and can cause some serious pain. And usually where the pain comes in is if you purchase an old home like this and you have big plans for renovation, you dig into some of those projects, you're going over those projects with your general contractor or one of the tradesmen, and then you start to do demolition and you find that you have lead-based paint, or you have some flooring with asbestos, or some type of tiles in the ceiling with asbestos. And now all of a sudden you need to pay for it to be properly disposed of through remediation, which can be a very large bill. And really that money isn't gonna go towards a nicer kitchen or to better flooring. It's just gonna go to disposing of those materials safely so it doesn't cause any harm, but it needs to be done. So that all of a sudden your renovation costs can really expand by something that you really didn't know. So it's something to be aware of, something you might want to ask your inspector some additional questions about, or maybe you want to do some tests if you're really concerned about that before purchasing the home. So that's it. That's the list of the top 5 things, going from electrical to plumbing to structures to HVAC, and then ending with lead-based paint and asbestos. This is not an exhaustive list, but it just gave you some tangible examples where you might incur additional costs by needing to fix things or spend on maintenance costs or in your renovation projects long term. Now let me know what you guys think. Do you have experience of this? Did you buy an older home and you had some issues, or maybe you're an inspector and you've seen this type of thing all the time? Any of that feedback is welcome, and I really appreciate your guys' engagement. Now before you take off, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification, as we have multiple videos coming out per week to help you with the repairs and improvements around your house, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care.